I'm not going to begin by yelling this week. Although that was really fun, wasn't it? I was thinking as I was sitting there that, we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. That's average. It might be slow day, you got 60,000 thoughts. Busy day where you're doing a lot, 120,000 thoughts. You think about that.
I think I've been at 130,000.
130 if your mind's moving fast. Yeah. And then what do we say? Change your thinking. And change your life.
One of them.
Oh. So there's a saying that's pretty well known. It's done unto you as you believe. But in New Thought Philadelphia, we don't like using the third person, or the second person of pointing at somebody else. So I'm going to change that. It's done unto us as we believe. Right? So we're looking inward to begin with, about what we want to do, what we want to be thinking. So today's talk is just one thought away. And the idea is that we have to start somewhere. So, do you have habitual thinking? I have habitual thinking. Is your habitual thinking positive? On the whole? Can we even go for a little bit more? See, this is what we're looking for. See, we can all tell ourselves, probably constantly, I can't do that. I won't be able to. Look at the state of the world. There's the one that gets me. You watch the news? You ever notice that it's 95% tragedy? And then they put this little good feeling story at the end of it of some little thing that happened to one person in some corner of the earth that was really beautiful, and you think, my God, the world's falling apart. But in fact, our personal worlds don't have to be falling apart. Our personal worlds are a reflection of what we believe. And the more of us that are believing on the positive side of life, the more of us are going to be experiencing a positive life. And what does that do for humanity? More of us are experiencing a positive life. Right? So the trick is, habitual thinking is pretty ingrained. That's why it's habitual. And when we have a bunch of negative thoughts rolling around in our head all the time, what do we tend to experience? Things that reinforce those negative thoughts. And it can seem like a really uphill battle to change those thoughts into something positive. Has anybody ever experienced that? Where you're thinking, I've got my affirmation. Anybody got an affirmation they're working on? I do. I have one every day. Today is, oh God, no. Please let there be a talk in there somewhere. There was already a talk in there. We all have those ones that we gravitate towards all the time. Some negative thought that just keeps rolling around in our head. Perhaps it was instilled in childhood. Some godlike parental figure told you something that you just took to heart, and forever and ever you've been holding on to this little thing that said you're not worthy of whatever good it was you wanted. I want some ice cream. No. And when God says no, you go, whoa, whoa. Parents, right? A lot of say there's kids in the room. Remember this, parents. We take those into our being and accept them. And sometimes they're absolutely right. Like, so when a parent says, no, don't put your hand on the stove, that's a good one to remember. It's self-preservation. But then somehow in there, our thinking can travel along that don't put your hand on the stove to fire is bad. Unless you want to cook. Or use it for warmth. Or other things. But we get into a habitual thinking pattern where the negative loop keeps playing every time in our head when something happens. So anybody got this one? Here we go. Again. Right? So what has happened when we said, here we go again? First of all, you have taken a unique experience, and I can explain why it's unique. Every experience is unique. This moment has never, ever happened before. Right? We live in this very moment. It's never happened before. The planet has spun. The air that you're breathing is not the same air that you were breathing a couple of minutes ago. All of the things, the universe has revolved. Nothing is where it was, except our memory of what was. So when you say, here we go again, what we've done is we've actually put ourselves into thinking about something else that has happened in the past and placed our expectation on the outcome of whatever that was to happen yet again. Instead of recognizing that we are living in a sacred moment right in this very instant and have the opportunity to experience life fresh and new as it truly is right now. You see, we can have a choice. We can choose to live in fear of what has hurt us in the past, what we deem to be wrong in the world, what is taking us away from experiencing our own personal good in this moment, regardless of what condition happens to be happening. And just make our worlds so small that we can begin to feel hopeless. This is never going to change. Doesn't that feel heavy? I mean, I was there recently. I don't like admitting this stuff as a minister, but there I was recently going, oh, this stuff is never going to change. And I'm going, wait a minute, what have I just done to myself? First of all, I've said this stuff rather than recognizing that there's a unique sacred experience happening in my life right now. I'm thinking about the stuff that happened last week, or last year, or last decade, you know? And I put it into whatever my condition was that I was saying that about. And then I've limited what my responses are to being defensive, to being withdrawn, to being protective of all of the things that I either think I'm going to lose or think I'm not going to get. So that's choosing fear. And we all do it to some degree. Sometimes it's self-preservation. And that's okay. Recognizing a dangerous situation is a really good idea. You know, and acting upon it creatively is an even better idea, you know, is to bring that out so that it turns out well. But sometimes those things are just created in our head. And what's required from there is to move from fear to faith. And sometimes that's a challenge. Remember, 70,000 thoughts a day running through. And most people hear when I said, is that positive or negative? When it said, nah, not to the positive side. So 35,000 to 37,000 thoughts a day are going to be negative thoughts. And the others are going to maybe be positive affirmative thoughts. I'm being generous. Right? But we have the ability to choose what we're thinking when we recognize that we're thinking it. So, okay. Anybody had a negative thought in the last 5 minutes? Oh, I'm so good. Rats! Almost got away with it. Right, so at the point at which you have that negative thought, you're aware of the negative thought. Because you just had it. So you can either choose to accept that in your life as your belief. Remember, it's done unto us as we believe. Or you can choose to change it. Now, choosing to change your thoughts is not necessarily an easy thing to do. Right? Because sometimes we're just not paying attention to our thoughts. We find ourselves saying, who is thinking that? Wait a minute. There's nobody else in here at the moment. You know, I was thinking that. And sometimes we look at it and the thoughts just seem so dramatically bad that we go, that's not mine. I don't want to own that at all. Or we can turn around, and here's where the effort comes in, is to counteract that thought with a truth. You see, the nature of spirit is love, joy, peace, wholeness, abundance, goodness, and about 5 other really great things. Think about this. Love, joy, peace, wholeness, abundance, goodness, balance, order, life. This is the nature of spirit itself. The very essence of being is these things. And everything that we place in front of that, or between us and that, is the fear that this may not be so. God is all there is. And God is good.
All the time.
God is good.
All the time.
Thank you. I mean, that's what I have to remind myself of. God is good all the time. All the time. In this moment now, God is good. God is joy. God is peace. God is abundance. God is good all the time. And turning to that thought, bringing that thought into our consciousness allows us to move from what was, that fear that something dramatic that happened in our past is going to repeat itself and we're going to be hurt again. To move into a greater expression of life, a greater awareness that God is good all the time. And so whatever is confronting me in the conditional world today, whatever is confronting each one of us in the conditional world today, is our opportunity to be something different. It's a unique and sacred moment in which we can choose to be the goodness, to be the love, to be the peace, to be the prosperity that we would like to experience in the world. And sometimes that can be a real challenge. I mean, sometimes we can look at the array of conditions in front of us and say, you want me to give into this? Yep. I didn't say it was easy. It is pretty simple, though. It's pretty simple. When we turn our thinking from a negative thought to a positive thought, we have the opportunity to live a different life. And even in the most dire circumstances, we still have that choice to live a different life, to choose a higher expression of love and wholeness and peace, to be in the world. We get to choose. What a wonderful thing. And as I said, with those 70,000 thoughts, 35 to 37,000 of them being on the negative time, sometimes we need a little jump starting. So, there are general jump starts and specific jump starts. These are general jump starts. We call them rapid pace affirmations. Those of you who have taken our classes know about these well. Here, take one, pass it along. I didn't give them. Breen gets to hold on to this one. Keep one and pass the rest to the next person behind you. So sometimes, we do practical prayer. And practical prayer is definitely for specific results around specific conditions that we would like to experience differently. Generally, however, to begin our journey into a greater awareness of the good that surrounds us, we have to remind ourselves of some pretty simple things. Now I need one. Okay. I'll give one back to Patrick. Thank you. I just wanted to walk around on the stage. It was kind of fun. All right. So these are several affirmations that we're going to say out loud. Right? So I invite you to say these with depth. Put yourself into it. So we'll say them together. Start with, I am worthy. I am prosperous. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am gifted. I am loved. How do you feel about that?
Good.
Anybody get any hesitations in there on any of them? No? Great. Because if you got a hesitation, that's the one you should be repeating more often. Right? So if something in there was like, I'm not really feeling enough, that's the one you need to be talking about. Because the way that we begin to have a different thought, just one thought away, is to replace it with the opposite, the positive thought that supersedes the negative thought. Because what we are doing is we are indeed training our subconscious mind to move to the tendency of positive thought in our life. Let's do that again. I am worthy. I am prosperous. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am gifted. I am loved. Now, you don't have to do that out loud, but it helps. See, when we claim something as ours out loud, there's a vibrational tendency that sinks it into our subconscious and anchors it as our claimed good. I am. The most powerful statement that any human being can make is a statement of what you choose to be on this planet, in this lifetime, in this moment. I am. Now you can see how that works. When you say, I am not, right? That's what you're claiming. When you change that to I am and put a positive behind it, we begin to build a consciousness of the good around us, and we begin to see the good around us come into our lives more fully. Love Breen's story. A change in consciousness, and all of a sudden it opens up. This is the way the world works. This is the spiritual principles we teach and talk about. That the universe is responding to our ideas. And so it is our responsibility to choose the ideas that we would like to experience in life. Because that's what we're doing. Whether you're being conscious of it or not, is we are indeed choosing the ideas that we are having, that we are following, that we are bringing into our experience in this and each moment. So those are general ones. And it's really good to create a general atmosphere of positive thought in your life, because it opens up the channels of creativity. And there is an infinite power with all of the creativity that is required to create universes, I'll use the plural on that, right here and right now, that is expressing through us as an individual channel of that divine consciousness. All of the power that is required for the unfolding of the idea that you are having right now is available and present in this very moment here. All of the power, all of the creativity required for a different experience of life is available right now, in this sacred moment. It's just one thought away. So I invite you to change your thinking and change the parts of your life that you choose. I'll try that this week. Namaste.